I'm getting a cold call now, so I'm actually going to answer that and then I'll come back. Hello. I want to weigh in on a subject that is doing the round on LinkedIn at the moment. So I've seen a question that's been flying around, everybody's got an opinion on it, and I thought that I would share and air my opinion. It would also be good to hear everybody else's opinion in the comments. So the question is, I will pose the question and see what your thoughts are. Should a CEO who has a team of salespeople, BDRs, SDRs, AEs, making cold calls, should they be allowed to answer the phone and say, I don't take cold calls? So your gut reaction is probably to say, no, they're not allowed to say that. That is hypocritical. What a bastard. Every CEO that has a team making cold calls should accept every cold call. I am entitled. I feel like they should accept my cold call and they should give me my 30 seconds because they have a team that are doing it and it is so hard. My answer, not really. Okay, let me give you some context. So really, a CEO is allowed to say whatever they want to say. They like a CEO, regardless. Take CEO out of the question. Whether they're somebody that makes cold calls themselves, if they want to say, listen, I don't take cold calls, it may be hypocritical, but they are allowed to say it. I think the bit that I think about a lot is salespeople give it so much attention and so much thought and feeling, and they get so frustrated by it, and they go, I see the rants on LinkedIn, they go, what a bastard. I said to him, blah, blah, and I checked, and he had 32 SDRs that all make cold calls. Oh my God, it's so unfair. Well, yeah, guess what? Life's fucking unfair. Life isn't fair, and just because some bloke in Swansea doesn't want to take your cold call, you've got to think about what you're actually in control of, okay? So if you ring somebody and they say, I don't take cold calls, yeah, you can get uppity. I mean, one, they could have had a god-awful day. Their dog or their cat could have got run over on the way to work, and they've still got to work because they've got this massive company to run, and now they're pissed off. They might have thought, I've got a team of SDRs, and it might have got to the point where they're getting 50 cold calls a day. And it's just interrupting their day. And this is somebody that's running a company. You've got to think like all these mini interruptions are going to stack up. Or they might have had a bad experience with a cold call. Somebody might have sold them something that came in and tickled their auntie when they weren't looking. Like, you don't know the context of people and their lives. So instead of getting up, like, all worked up about it, like, think about what you can control. Okay, so if somebody said they don't take cold calls, what are you in control of? What can you actually say instead? So my go-to is your job then is to disarm. It's not to convince them to take your cold call. It's not to persuade them. It's to disarm them. So I would probably have a go-to response that they're going to have a lot of cold calls. They're getting a lot. This is happening a lot. And they're probably not just a lot of cold calls. I bet there are a lot of fucking bad cold calls, because we know what cold calls are like. If you've ever made or received a cold call, 90% of them are shit. So you've got to think about what you're doing. So disarm. If somebody says, I don't take cold calls, it's like, right, okay, wow, sounds like you get a lot of these. You're trying to make them feel heard. Maybe read the room, see in what way they're saying it, their tonality. Your job isn't to persuade them or to convince them. It's just to hear them out, maybe go in with a cold read, an accusation on it. Wow, sounds quite frustrating. It sounds like you get a lot of these all the time. And see if they open up. Yeah, you can't imagine. I get 50 a day. Imagine if I took every cold call. I'd never be able to get insurance A to insurance B. I don't know what CEOs do. But this is what I'm trying to say. I'm getting a cold call now, so I'm actually going to answer that and then I'll come back. Hello, Jack speaking.
Oh, hi, I've just missed a call from you.
Yes, is it David?
Yes.
Yes, David. I called you last week. You were awake. You said to call back another time. I was very honest. It was a sales call. So I will give you the opportunity to... You can hang up now or let me run through in 30 seconds. Completely up to you.
Just very briefly, what are you selling?
Sure. Well, I guess if I told you that I help managing directors of recruitment businesses who might be struggling to get in front of more people or the right kinds of people, I have a feeling, David, you're probably going to tell me everything's perfect and you probably couldn't deal with another customer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, I'm in the process of a huge business development push within our company and at our senior level at the moment, and we're fairly well catered for now.
Okay, that's fair. I guess can I ask you one last question before I let you go, David?
Of course.
When you say you're in a big business development push at the moment, what do you mean by that exactly?
We're increasing our client base and resurrecting old clients as well, which has been going on for 6 months and is actually working quite effectively.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like you've actually got a plan in place for all of that, and it's working perfectly.
Yes, it's working well. I'm very pleased with it. The jury's out as to how well, but in the first 6 months, it's doing exactly what I want it to do. So I would say, I'm not going to waste your time any further. Feel free to give me a shout in 6 months or a year. You know, things may be different by then.
Yeah, that's fair. I can give you a call back in 6 months. I guess
Absolutely fine.
What do you think might have changed in 6 months where you think actually we could do with some help now?
Well, if the targets that we've set ourselves, if they're not being achieved, then we're doing something wrong.
Okay, but it's
or we need to do something differently.
Sure. It does sound like you're in a position with this new push where you are going to definitely hit those targets though.
Well, at the moment, I've been very pleased with it. But things change, staffing levels change. You know, you can never tell, can you?
No.
So what I say, just give it 6 months' time, and I'll either say thanks but no thanks, or I'm really interested to hear what you've got to say.
Okay, that's fair. I guess, yeah, I can give you a call back in 6 months, David. I mean, at this moment, it sounds like it's not a burning problem. If it's okay with you, I will connect with you on LinkedIn as well. And obviously, I post a lot. You might get 3 months, 6 months down the line and think, actually, I know a guy that could actually help with this.
Absolutely. Send us through something on LinkedIn and I'll hook up with you.
Brilliant. My name's Jack, David. Lovely speaking to you.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Anyway, that was a cold call. So that was somebody that I called last week. They said call back, as we know happens. And then I called them and they didn't answer. And then they called me back. So that's a little, what do you call it? A sandwich filling? Anyway, I was saying, so if somebody says I don't take cold calls, don't get worked up about it. Think about what you can do to disarm it. Think about what you can actually control, your tonality, the questions you ask, the way you respond. And if you are sat there and you are giving it lots of time and thought and thinking about how unfair it is, remember, life is short. One day you're going to die. And even if it is unfair, does it really matter? I hope that helps.